Before I started Wikipedia, I had a previous project, Newpedia, which was very top-down, very controlled. But since the beginning of Wikipedia, we've more or less stayed true to the basic vision. And, well, it's bigger than I ever imagined it would be. You know, for us, the big thing, as you mentioned, we are opening an office in India. It's the first time we've opened an office outside the U.S., and we're really focused now on the languages of the developing world. We're really, really big in English, German, French, basically all the European languages. Big in Chinese, big in Japanese. But we have, say, a language like Hindi, for example. 280 million people are speaking Hindi, but we only have about 50,000 entries in Hindi. Long way to go. I guess the biggest complaint that people have typically is we're not sure if it's accurate or not.
Right.
That's the real question. And of course, well, there's always going to be things that's wrong in every reference work. We want to make it as good as it possibly can be. Sometimes I think we do ourselves some damage because we'll tell you. I think it's the right thing to do. You know, the following section doesn't cite any sources, or the neutrality of this has been disputed.
Right.
Probably the best place you can go for criticism of Wikipedia is our article called "Criticism of Wikipedia."
You're right.
So the Wikimedia Foundation is the charity that I set up that owns and operates Wikipedia. So we're a 501c3 charity organization. We exist from donations from the general public, and the foundation is tasked with keeping the servers running, you know, communications, legal, all the sort of the infrastructure. Well, you know, it's partly a product of history, where we came from in the early days. We're really a child of the dot-com crash, so there was no investment money. We're just a group of people on the internet trying to do something cool. A lot of the volunteers wanted to put it into the nonprofit. It made sense to me, and I'm really proud of it as a nonprofit. I mean, I really feel like when people look back in 200, 500 years on this era, they'll say, oh yeah, that Wikipedia was pretty remarkable. Because we're a charity, we don't run any advertising. We don't want to run advertising on the site. We mostly exist from donations from the general public. So every year we run a campaign, and well, this year they've slapped my face all over the site. So I'm getting a lot of people saying, oh, stop staring at me, Jimmy Wales. Well, in the very early days, when WikiLeaks first announced, it was announced as the Wikipedia of secrets, and we didn't know what was going on. Somebody in my office registered some WikiLeaks domains defensively, and then later, once we said, hey, don't use the name Wikipedia, and he said, oh, that's fine. So we transferred the domains to him. All those other domains, but then the technical transfer hasn't been completed, and blah, blah, blah. It's complicated and boring. Because wiki is a generic term that existed from 1995, long before Wikipedia started. So we have control over Wikipedia, and then my for-profit company, Wikia, but wiki in general, wiki whatever, that's generic. Right. So we can't, you know, but I'm not sure we would necessarily want to stop him. I think it has been a little uncomfortable that there's been some confusion in the public eye that we have something to do with each other. And, you know, I have some criticism. I think they should be more careful. I think they should be a little slower about what they're releasing. So I have mixed feelings about WikiLeaks. So the first thing I should say is I think that it is an important feature of any open society that there is the opportunity for people who have information about wrongdoing to come forward with that information, even though they are at risk of getting in trouble. Fine, that's perfectly good. At the same time, I think that if I had some information, I think the last thing I would ever do with it is send it to WikiLeaks. I would send it to the New York Times. I would send it to a responsible journalistic organization.